we can follow our beginning stages essentially back to 13. Really, we're not getting into the authenticity of these hypotheses today. Generally, since the cosmic neighborhood, by and by, instantly recognized that our set of encounters in this universe starts with the gigantic blast. Additionally, the considerations that succeeded the huge bang are furthermore established on a comparable typical sign of the universe's prologue to the world. Except if you're a nerd who has gone through hours noticing a few mind-blowing discernments of the gigantic blast, to be fair, the curiosity was more than an impact, so to talk. Fundamentally put, the tremendous blast tracked down its beginning stage in a lone point, a point that was perpetually hot and thick and extended to over-the-top lengths. All of this happened when the universe was incredibly energetic. Actually, at the hour of the gigantic explosion, the universe was just 10 to the force of less 34 seconds old, which is 100th of a billionth of a trillionth of a second in age. This is the place where the universe experienced an astounding blast of improvement. In any case, called the shameful impact or the development. During this interaction, space expanded faster than the speed of light. Our universe was stacked with each atom we learned about in our science class enthusiastically, or in any case, protons, neutrons, electrons against electrons, photons, and neutrinos. The custom of the tremendous blast is extraordinary. Well, allegorically, it appears like it anyway. The way that we may decipher the universe commencement is particularly speculative. We've shown up extensive ways beginning from the primary moon landing, and from that point forward, our creative progress has created. Back when specialists were focusing on the enormous blast just considering mathematical recipes and sensible models, they could never have perhaps imagined that we'd research the opportunity of life on Mars. There have been some enormous leap advances to our greatest advantage to concentrate on the universe and research space. Yet and still, at the end of the day, our current advancement is really confined. You see, we can't make the huge bang or, on the other hand, peer back at the real event. Our greatest piece of verification comes from the gigantic microwave establishment that has allowed analysts to see the resonation of the colossal blast. While this instrument is earth-shattering in the examination of the universe, it's furthermore theoretically confined. So while our entire data lays on the speculative inhabitants' consistent theories, have an enormous space to be negated. Additionally, that's right, we're practically certain about the colossal explosion as the thought and the way things were astounding in making our universe. However, there are a couple of bits of repercussions. However, we've misjudged. Moreover, amazing as it is by all accounts, theories about our universe are generally established on data that is lean to human botches. Constantly, at the same time, a piece of our data is moreover extraordinarily unequivocal about the enormous at this point bang. We ought to just express that discrediting the hypothesis is troublesome through and through. The speculation is our universe at this point extending to some degree as of late or something to that effect. Appreciate that our super-saving grace in it was to analyze the enormous blast. Hubble Space Telescope additionally as of now, clearly, all bets are on the extraordinary precision of the James Webb Space Telescope. Before we got to use these solid imaginative instruments, one of the greatest question matters in cosmic audit was the improvement of the universe. If you get some sign sense perusing material from the mid-90s or so, you'd find out about how the universe is expanding. With everything taken into account, the universe is expanding, and that is one little logical reality that we've grasped. At this point, the veritable catastrophe here is that maybe we don't have the haziest idea what the expansion of the universe includes. And even more fundamentally, we should ask ourselves in mulling over assuming the universe is growing since heads up, the James Webb Space Telescope is telling us. Regardless, a true marvel, the universe has stopped expanding right now. Before jumping into the ramifications of this momentous development from our universe's direction, we ought to basically examine our cognizance of this. Regardless, confounding characteristic scientifically talking, that sort of portrayal isn't correct. Paying little heed to the endless usage of the impact, furthermore, development of the word. The presentation of the universe wasn't definitively in effect, and specialists accept that we ought to address our appreciation of the universe. In NASA's own words, the universe didn't expand into space as space didn't exist beforehand. The universe, rather, it is more brilliant to consider the colossal blast as the synchronous appearance of room any place in the universe. Our perception of the quirk also uncovers that our universe has survived a strong, pompous period that was just disturbed by the relationship in space. Before the explicit compound conjecture, our universe was simply totally dark and faint when that was corrected as lots of gas changed into stars. Enormous frameworks, truly at that time did the universe emerge from its pompous dim ages. So here is a bit of arbitrary information for you all. When do you think our close-by planet bunch came into? It was simply to be assuming the universe haziness and frightfulness for 400 million years. Well, our planetary framework was conceived 9 billion years after the tremendous explosion. What happens is that space has been expanding after some time, and it conveys matter with its course to place it in clear words. The universe isn't expanding in the manner we imagine it or even comprehend it is the dynamic growing of room that goes before the development of the universe. We understanding this is a piece tangled, however, then again, it's critical to get a handle on the ramifications of what we are going to tell you. For this video, we'd continue to utilize the articulation expansion of the universe to infer the dynamic development of our space. Fundamentally, on the grounds that even researchers are open to utilizing the particular outlining to portray the late revelation made by the James Webb Space Telescope. The way that the universe has stopped extending is both surprising and clashing with our past hypothetical information on this befuddling quirk. Since you see, with this staggering disclosure, researchers were persuaded that the universe was expanding at a sped-up rate since its beginning. And well, they weren't amiss. With the help of the Hubble Space Telescope, specialists had the choice to assemble significant proof to help their hypothesis. So no, this isn't an example of NASA changing its past comprehension of the universe's development. Whatever is occurring to our universe is totally new and perhaps irreversible. While the actual disclosure is critical, it isn't excessively as business as usual to terrify it either. As we examine gravity, you'd see that our universe was constantly powerless against a collapse. For the situation when the universe had above and beyond measure of energy density, the extension would stop completely. And by the vibes of it, our universe is moving backward. So we ought to dump this, will we getting going with dark energy. The start of dark energy returns to the 1990s. Now, NASA furthermore, its reliable analysts had some exceptionally conclusive thoughts in regards to the development of the universe. The most basic unit of their logical understanding was gravity. While that much remaining part's genuine today, we have some through various thoughts with respect to the rates at which our universe expands. As we've previously talked about scientists had a hypothetical assumption regarding the universe's recollapse that would stop the extension. To the extent that we know today, however, the testing thought was similarly disturbing. If not shocking enough, too little energy density would really imply that our universe could grow perpetually. The new irregularity of the thought is exceptionally restricted today. But you see, it was the 1990s, and analysts had pretty much nothing innovative help to see as significant or observational information for their forecasts. What they were sure about was that as our universe ages, gravity would diminish the pace of development over the long haul. Obviously, even hypothetically, it appears to be all right. Gravitational power brings universes together. This is something we've as of now spread out. So as the universe extends, the gravitational power would confront enlarging the distance between the brilliant objects. Since our universe is essentially a fix of potential outcome, the engaging gravitational draw would keep the matter unblemished. This hypothesis was excessively loosened up to grasp the speed of the universe's development. Specialists accept that since gravity is the restricting glue for the entirety of the matter and has existed since the universe's beginning, the speed of advancement expected to tone down. Without a doubt, we had no means to see this quirk or complete a couple of significant information testing. Anyway, hypothetically, this made total sense until it didn't. In 1998, the production of the Hubble Space Telescope changed all that. We had some mindfulness of the universe. HSD was really used to concentrate on the faraway enormous blast in our universe that figured out the perfection of our space. This is to say, analysts used inestimable blasts to concentrate on the extension of the universe. What they found out was opposite to what they had some awareness of our universe, and we ought to simply say specialists were left completely shocked and stunned. After all, the whiplash was astounding. This single revelation meant that cosmic assessments should be innately changed and re-examined. Analysts expected to look back at their speculative examinations and change everything in light of what the Hubble Space Telescope showed them. And there was no space for error or judgment for the starting time in the investigation of the universe. Seeing was tolerating. It had turned out that gravity wasn't easing back the development of the universe at all. The universe was expanding at a higher speed increase than it had ever before. You heard that right. Since the universe's beginning, the speed of expansion has just expanded from its earlier days' focuses. Typically, this amazing theory was difficult to make sense of. Obviously, gravity proved unable to cause the quicker speed increase. Notwithstanding, gravity ought to have battled valiantly to deaccelerate the speed of the universe's development. Yet apparently gravity was rendered weak. Indeed, to this day we have no clue about how or why the universe was developing to vast degrees. As indicated by hypothetical information, the development ought to have toned down. Furthermore, less, and until there was an opposing gravitational power in the universe that was overpowering in gravity. Until the new disclosure of the James Webb Space Telescope, specialists were by and large of the assessment that our universe is a gigantic disaster area. Here's why, after Hubble's exposure, the logical world was in a crisis. Associations like NASA required quick clarifications for the outstanding immense speed increase. Our most paramount hypothesis was that maybe Einstein's hypothesis of gravity wasn't exactly so exceptionally precise as we thought. By the hypothesis, we had begun to see gravity as a winding of presence brought about by mass and energy. In principle, gravity wasn't simply a compel, it could overlay around mass to push it or pull it. So assuming this hypothesis stood right, the universe shouldn't have been growing at sped-up rates. Something else that could get a handle on the idiosyncrasy was some energy liquid that surged the improvement. Now, there were a ton of testing speculations that went this way and that away. Nothing held quick. In the end, the chance of contaminating Einstein additionally vanished. Today, the main reaction to Hubble's amazing disclosure can be summarized in 2 words: dark energy. Truth be told, presently you know why this non-essential word in science is so huge. Yet you'd be astonished to realize that we don't have any idea anything about this power. None by any leap of faith. The as-it-were thing we know is that it makes up most of our universe. Is basically disturbing. However, customary matter basically contains 5% of our universe. The rest is simply dim matter and dull energy. This moreover approves Einstein's renowned cosmological consistent. Why has our universe stopped expanding within the sight of dull energy? Well, researchers are as yet finding out about the uncommon revelation. However, in the event that we really wanted to check out at the optics of the duel among gravity and dull energy, we could have a response. The cosmological consistent is the secretive power in space that can be filled in for dull energy. The logical hypothesis proposes that gravity and dim energy are consistently in a fight with each other. It's just about what gets the key position and what overwhelms the other. Obviously, one straightforward and intelligent clarification could be that gravity is at last overpowering dark energy to stop the extension of the universe. Since if our universe had a direction, it would have essentially controlled to a significant degree previously, before the development halted out and out. Or, on the other hand, maybe gravity began to drop the impacts of dull energy out of nowhere. Regardless, we need huge observational and hypothetical proof to legitimize accepting that gravity is changing its properties. And well, that's one overwhelming undertaking. Since assuming that there's anything we realize about gravity, it's that it has never changed. That is right. Since the beginning of the universe, gravity has been consistent. And thus far, we don't have above and beyond proof that there's an adjustment of how gravity communicates with the universe. This couldn't be more startling than the huge crunch. However, no matter what, because of the hypothetical works of specialists like Cox, we have some thought regarding the impacts of hostile to AR energy. Think of it as an essential implying or a roll of the dice. However, a certain specialist was previously planning for the inversion of dull energy back in 2011. Brian Cox delivered his widely praised book Marvels of the Universe, followed by a TV series of a similar name. This exemplary mix of the book and program did wonders for the in general crowd who needed to get more acquainted with the universe in layman's terms. The series is uncommonly beguiling. However, it likewise takes a dull turn when Cox and his co-creator Andrew Cohen talked about the end of the universe. Good. No one needs to consider the apocalypse. However, Accepting our universe has stopped growing and pressing forward is the only option. Perhaps this is an ideal opportunity to envision the unfathomable. Leading, we realize that time isn't straight. However, at that point again, our reality is intrinsically attached to the universe. Assuming it contracts and falls, so do we. Since the universe has stopped expanding from what we could think, that's the way for the sun to chill off. And all things considered, we'd be seeing the finish of the world in altogether dark murkiness. Then, the universe would collapse onto itself, and we'd be brought into the single black hole natural. Indeed, but for this to turn into our fate, it will require 6 billion years or so at least. That's the very thing Brian Cox gauges. It's almost unironically. But this new disclosure implies that most researchers are falling back to the extreme destiny hypotheses that were previously considered untestable or straight-up amazing. One critical subject in real cosmology is the extreme fate of the universe, which basically revolves around advancement and the finish of time. In this emerging field, our hypothesis of interest is known as the large crunch, the subsequent when the universe stops expanding and starts to contract. This cosmological occasion happens when the normal thickness of the universe will be sufficient enough for the extension to stop. While the large crunch is vigorously understudied, we can foresee how the universe closes. You check if the gravitational shaft of the universe becomes serious areas of strength for Ultra will actually want to cut through the spacetime.